Hey, it's the Cartoonkid back again with another fantastic fanfic idea. And today I'm bringing you Big Head in Hell. Now, you're probably wondering, why did I come up with this? Well, to be fair, yeah, with season 2 out, I figured, with season 2 of Hazbin Hotel out, I figured, it's a good time to, you know, to have a story about Hazbin Hotel. And I figured, why not the mask? But not just the mask, but something close enough to the original comic book. Specifically, the the comic one, I pledge allegiance to the mask. Really something close enough. But I digress. Story. Calloway woke to screaming and fire. His hands, now clawed and gray, pressed against cracked pavement as Pentagram City burned around him. The detective instincts kicked in and immediately assessed the situation, identify threats, and find cover. But this wasn't any crime scene he'd worked before. This was hell. He found Kathy stumbling through an alley, her own demonic transformation making her almost unrecognizable, except for eyes, sharp, still analytical, still human despite everything else. They stared at each other, the reality of their death was crashing down like the rubble falling from nearby buildings. The White House, the explosion, the end. Then Calloway checked his coat pocket and felt his blood run cold. The wooden mask was there, its carved grin intact, as if death itself couldn't separate them. Kathy saw his expression and knew immediately. They'd brought their damnation with them. A flickering television and a destroyed storefront showed a cheerful blonde demon, a princess apparently, singing about redemption and second chances. The Has-Been Hotel. It seemed absurd, naive even, but they had nowhere else to go. As they navigated the violent streets, thugs attacked them for sport. Calloway's hand moved toward his pocket 3 times. 3 times Kathy stopped him. They arrived at the hotel, battered and desperate. Charlie Morningstar greeted them with genuine enthusiasm that seemed impossible in hell. Raggy, her girlfriend, was immediately suspicious, especially when she sensed something powerful radiating from Calloway's possession. Angel does, the hotel's only other resident besides the staff, found the whole situation hilarious. A cop and a reporter trying to go straight in hell. Charlie gave them the tour, explaining her dream of rehabilitation. Calloway watched her bright optimism clash against the grim reality of their situation and thought about how many times he'd worn the mask believing he could control it. Hope twisted by power never ended well. but they were out of options. They accepted Charlie's offer with one condition. They needed somewhere secure to lock away something dangerous. Charlie, ever optimistic, agreed without hesitation. The mask went into the hotel's vault, sealed behind reinforced doors. That night, lying in their separate rooms, both Calloway and Kathy stared at the ceiling and felt it calling to them through the walls. The mask was patient. It could wait forever. The question was whether they could resist it that long. Alistair's arrival changed everything. The radio demon materialized with vintage flair and predatory grace, offering to help Charlie's hotel while clearly playing a game only he understood. Calloway recognized a manipulator when he saw one. He spent years interrogating them back when he was alive. During Alistair's brutal demolition of Sir Prentice's attack, transforming the Snake Demon's war machine into scrap metal while humming a jazz tune, Calloway felt the mass screaming in his mind. It showed him visions of what he could do with its power, matching Alistair trick for trick, bending reality into impossible shapes, dancing through combat like a cartoon god. His hand gripped the vault key in his pocket until his knuckles turned white. Kathy spent her day just documenting everything, her reporter instincts unchanged by death. She interviewed residents, researched Hell's hierarchy, and cataloged potential threats. Knowledge was power, and unlike the mask's power, it didn't require surrendering her soul. Sir Pentious joined the hotel after his defeat, humiliated but genuine in his desire to change. During a quiet evening, he confessed to Calloway that he'd been a ruthless inventor in life. His weapons had killed thousands during Victorian England's industrial wars. The guilt haunted him through a century in hell. Calloway shared his own burden. He'd worn the mask, become big-head, and the White House was only the final catastrophe in a trail of chaos. They sat together in understanding silence, two men trying to atone for the worst versions of themselves. Later, Alistair cornered Calloway in the hallway. The radio demon smiled never wavered as he spoke about the interesting artifact locked in the vault. He could sense its power, its potential. Some tools were meant to be used, he suggested. Denying one's true nature was simply another form of imprisonment. Calloway refused, but Alistair's words followed him like a persistent melody on a radio that couldn't be turned off. Baggy's past as an exorcist created tension when it was revealed. Calloway defended her, understanding immediately what it meant to seek redemption for violence committed under someone else's influence. He'd followed the mask's impulses. She'd followed heaven's orders. Both were trying to be better. Charlie's trust exercised his first confrontations with their past. In front of the group, Calloway and Kathy describe their final moments. The White House invasion, the reality bending chaos, the explosion that consumed everything. Even Angel does inappropriate jokes die when Calloway described watching innocent people die because of his actions under the mask's influence. Husk, the hotel's cynical bartender, shared a drink with Calloway one night. The former overlord recognized his addiction when he saw it. Calloway's just happened to be an enchanted artifact rather than gambling or alcohol. The warning was simple and devastating. Addicts always believe they can control it, right up until the moment they can't. That night, Calloway dreamed he was wearing the mask again. Big Head danced through hell's streets, reshaping demons into impossible forms, turning violence into slapstick comedy, laughing as reality bent at his whim. He woke up screaming. Kathy was already at his door, having heard through the thin walls. They didn't speak about the dream. They didn't need to. When Angel Dust returned from Valentino's studio, broken and brutalized, something snapped in Calloway. The spider demon situation, trapped in a contract, autonomy stolen, abused by someone with power over him, mirrored exactly how the mask operated. The difference was that Calloway could do something about Valentino. He stood outside the vault with the key in his hand, imagining what Big Head could do. Valentino would suffer in ways the Overlord could imagine. It would, it would be justice. It would be revenge. It would be right. Kathy found him at 3 a.m., hand trembling on the vault door. She didn't argue or plead. She just asked him to remember what the mask did to justice. How it twisted righteous anger into chaos. How it made victims of everyone nearby. They'd be trading angel suffering for 100 new victims. Calloway's hand dropped from the door. Instead, they sat with Angel, offering silent support while Charlie and the others provided comfort. Sometimes the hardest heroism was doing nothing when every instinct screamed to act. Lucifer's arrival brought a new perspective. The king of hell himself, awkward, depressed, extreme, estranged from his daughter, was a cautionary tale about power's limitations. He could reshape reality, command legions, rule an entire dimension of existence. None of it saved his marriage or fixed his daughter's dream or overcame his crushing isolation. During the tour of the hotel, Lucifer sensed the mask in the vault. His expression shifted to something like recognition and old sadness. Later, privately, he spoke with Calloway about Loki's artifact. It had appeared throughout history, he explained, always bringing chaos, always finding people who believed they could control it. None ever did. Lucifer offered to destroy it. His divine power could unmake the cursed object completely, remove the temptation forever. Calloway refused. He explained that keeping the mask, resisting it daily, was part of his redemption. The easy path would be eliminating temptation. The right path was proving he was stronger than it. Lucifer studied him with ancient eyes and nodded slowly. Perhaps that was true wisdom, or perhaps it was an Hick's realization. Time would tell. Mimsy arri- Mimsy's arrival brought her lone socks and violence to the hotel. The building was under siege, residents were in danger, and Calloway had ultimate power waiting in the vaults. He watched Alistair handle the situation with brutal efficiency, tentacles of shadow whipping demons apart, reality bending to the radio demon's will. The mask whispered that he could do better, cleaner, more creatively. Calloway kept it locked away, trusting Alistair to protect them, even though every instinct screamed at him to act. When Charlie traveled to heaven for her meeting with the seraphim, Calloway and Kathy remained behind. Former mask bearers weren't welcome in paradise. They spent the time fortifying the hotel with serpentes, designing mundane but effective defenses. Kathy interviewed demons who'd survived multiple exterminations, gathering intelligence on angel tactics and weaknesses. Charlie returned with devastating news. Adam was moving up extermination. They had 6 months instead of a year to prepare for an army of angels. In the vault, infinite power waited patiently. Preparation consumed the hotel. Camilla Carmine provided angelic weapons. Faggy drilled everyone in combat. Kathy and Calloway and Kathy trained with blessed steel, knowing their human, now demonic, cunning might be their only edge against heaven's forces. Charlie's visit to Cannibal Town was dangerous enough that Calloway volunteered as backup. In Rosie's elegant parlor, surrounded by sophisticated cannibals, he he was reminded of the mask's social power. Big Head could charm anyone, win over entire crowds with charisma and cartoon logic. The mask made everyone love you while you destroyed everything they valued. Rosie herself, fascinated with his detective mind, she moved through genuine relationship rather than fear or contracts. Her power came from community and mutual benefit, the opposites of the mask taking and corrupting. Alistair's revelation about his own deal, his admission of being constrained by some unknown contract, struck a chord. Even the radio demon, one of Hell's most powerful beings, was someone else's puppet. Power alone didn't equal freedom. The mask promised ultimate ability but delivered absolute enslavement. The mobilization of Cannibal Town for battle was impressive, but Calloway's tactical analysis said it wouldn't be enough. Adam was leading the attack personally with loot and an entire Exorcist army. They needed every advantage they could get. That night, he and Kathy stood outside the vault together. Neither spoke about what they were both thinking. The silence was heavy with possibility and dread. Tomorrow they went to war. Tomorrow they might die permanently. Tomorrow they might need to become Big Head one last time. Kathy finally broke the silence with a question. If one of them had to wear it, who should it be? Calloway considered. He had more experience with the mask, more resistance to its influence, or so he told himself. But Kathy was stronger willed, more able to remove it voluntarily. They decided if it came to it, Calloway would wear it. He'd lived with the guilt longer. He could handle one more atrocity if it meant saving everyone else. They shook hands on it like a business deal, both knowing it was a pact with the devil they brought with them to hell. Dawn broke over hell with golden light and that promised only death. Adam descended with his exorcist army, and the battle began immediately. The hotel defenders fought desperately. Camilla's angelic weapons helped. The cannibals fought with savage grace, but it was clear they were outmatched. Calloway fought with an angelic spear, his detective training translating surprisingly well to combat. He was methodical, analytical, finding patterns in the angel's attacks. Kathy fought beside him, using agility and quick thinking to survive moment to moment. Serpentius made his suicidal run at Adam in his war machine, screaming about protecting his friends. The explosion consumed him completely. For a moment, the battlefield fell silent. Then a golden light appeared in the sky. Serpentius ascending, redeemed, proven worthy of heaven. Charlie's dream worked. Redemption was real. But the battle wasn't over. Alistair confronted Adam and nearly died, his staff broken, his power insufficient. The radio demon retreated. Charlie was overwhelmed by exorcists. Residents were falling. The hotel was being torn apart. Calloway made his decision and ran for the vault. Kathy tried to stop him, but he was already opening the door. The mask sat on its pedestal, waiting as it always had, patient and eternal. His hands reached out, trembling with anticipation and horror. Charlie's voice cut through the moment. She'd seen what he was about to do. She begged him to wait, to trust, to believe they could win without it. Calloway hesitated. In that moment, Lucifer arrived. The king of hell entered the battle with divine fury, matching Adam blow for blow. The tide turned. Charlie unlocked her full demonic power. Fighting beside her father, together they were unstoppable, transforming Adam into harmless forms, overwhelming the exorcist army with sheer power. Calloway backed away from the mask, closing the vault. Kathy embraced him, both crying with relief and terror at how close he'd come. Victory was within reach. Then Lutz, wounded and furious, broke away from the main battle. She spotted Calloway, separated from the group, an easy target. She attacked with murderous precision. Calloway raised his angelic spear, but Lute was an experienced warrior. She disarmed him in seconds and drove her blade through his chest. As Calloway fell, dying his second death, Kathy screamed. She ran to the vault in blind panic and grief. She knew what she was about to do was wrong, knew it broke their vow knew it would damn her further. She didn't care. She put on Kathy put on the mask. The transformation was instantaneous and explosive. Kathy's demon form twisted and expanded, reality bending around her as the mask power combined with Hell's native chaos. She became something unprecedented. Cartoon nightmare given flesh. Loki's chaos amplified by Hell's corruption. What followed silenced the entire battlefield. Masked Kathy moved with impossible speed and creativity. Lute's angelic blade became a rubber chicken. Exorcists transformed into harmless objects, a lamb, a potted plant, a confused duck. Reality bent like clay in our hands. Adam, golden and powerful, became a little groups, honking in confused ways as he waddled across the battlefield. Lute found herself caught in a time loop of her own attacks, hitting herself repeatedly while circus music played from nowhere and everywhere. The remaining exorcists fled in terror. Charlie and Lucifer watched in horror and fascination. This was power beyond most overlords, beyond most of Hell's royalty. This was primal chaos unleashed. The battlefield was transformed into a surreal landscape of cartoon logic. Masked Kathy stood at the center, holding Calloway's dying body in her transformed arms. The mask's influence wavered as her grief pierced through the chaos magic. She removed it with shaking hands. Kathy's demon form returned to normal as she cradled Calloway. Charlie and Lucifer approached carefully. The princess knelt beside them, her hands glowing with demonic energy. Lucifer explained that death in hell wasn't always permanent. Not for demons, not with enough power. With divine intervention, souls could be anchored and restored. It would take everything Charlie he had combined with his own power, but they could save Calloway. Father and daughter worked together, pouring golden light into the dying detective. The glow was blinding, hope made manifest in hell's darkness. Calloway gasped back to life, his eyes opened to see Kathy's tear-stained face above him. She was still holding the mask, but they both stared at it with hatred and terrible understanding. It had saved them. It had damned them again. It had proven that they could never truly be free of it. The hotel was rebuilt, grander than before. Sir Prentice's ascension became legendary, proof that Charlie's dream worked, that redemption was possible, even for hell's worst. Calloway recovered slowly, dealing with the trauma of dying twice. He and Kathy had long conversations about what happened, about her choice to use the mask, about whether it was worth it. They both agreed it worked. She saved him and everyone else, but the cost was almost losing herself again. In hell, with inhibitions lowered and violence normalized, the mass seduction was even stronger. New rules were established. The mask went back in the vault with additional security designed by Serpentius, who visited from heaven occasionally to everyone's amazement. It could only be accessed if both Calloway and Kathy agreed, with at least two other hotel residents present as witnesses. More importantly, Kathy documented everything: the mask's abilities, its weaknesses, strategies for fighting while possessed. If they ever had to use it again, they'd be prepared. They'd have contingencies. They'd have ways to stop Bighead if the wearer couldn't remove it voluntarily. Charlie incorporated their story into the hotel's rehabilitation program. The mask became a teaching tool, not used, never used, but discussed. It represented temptation, the easy path, the promise of power without consequences. Resisting it became symbolic of the entire redemption journey. Alistair took particular interest in their situation, though he never directly asked about the mask again. The radio demon seemed satisfied with the chaos it brought into the battle. His smile suggested he was playing a longer game, one that might involve their cursed artifacts eventually. Lucifer visited regularly. His relationship with Charlie healed through their shared battle. He offered once more to destroy the mask. Once more, Galloway refused. But now there was an understanding. If either of them showed signs of succumbing permanently, Lucifer would unmake it regardless of their wishes. The final evening of reconstruction, Calloway and Kathy stood on their balcony overlooking Pentagram City's chaotic skyline. They had they held hands. Two damned souls seeking redemption, two former mask bearers trying to prove they were more than the worst things they'd done. In the vault below, the mask sat in darkness, waiting. It would wait forever if necessary. Masks were patient, and chaos was eternal, and hell was exactly where the Tempson thrived. But for now, for the day, they chose not to wear it. That choice, repeated daily, was its own form of